So I work for Which, and we're a consumer organisation, and the reason that we exist is to empower consumers to be as powerful as the companies that they deal with on a day-to-day basis. We campaign to make sure consumers have all the information they need to make informed choices. So an example of that might be front-of-pack nutrition labelling. We campaigned for traffic lights to be adopted so that people could see at a glance what was in their food.
So my research is predominantly on reducing sugar and calories in products. I work with looking at products in detail, looking at comparing products, showing or demonstrating that there's potential for reformulation. And by demonstrating that, then you can argue to companies and also to policymakers there is scope for improvement of the whole food supply with healthier products.
I think from a nutrition perspective, actually, dietary guidelines are very based on what we perceive to be a Western diet. But obviously, a lot of the people that you would see in your day-to-day lives as a nutritionist or a dietitian in practice, clinical practice, don't necessarily fit that bill. If I think about my first job after university or qualifying for Sure Start and children's centres in South East London, it was a really, really diverse group, which was really encouraging to see, because actually probably before that, when I was working more in research, it wasn't necessarily like that.
I know it probably does happen that being a female wearing a headscarf is going to be a barrier for some people. They might assume that I don't have the potential or I don't have the experience or judge me a bit more harshly. Perhaps only recently I sometimes think back that I did make a lot of sacrifices in my early career, spending way too much time working overtime and so forth. And I think maybe that's because some people might have not seen the potential unless you've proved yourself, you've proved that you could do this job very effectively. So go above and beyond.
We started to farm here 20 years ago, and it was really difficult to get access to land, particularly coming from a low-income background. We came from a place where we had no access to collateral or to be able to try and get the startup capital we needed to get going. And when we moved into the area, we really ran into the fact that there was a very closed society here, looking after their local landscape, but not really understanding about outsiders coming in, what we intended to do. And we faced difficulties with planning permission for building our own home. Now we work very closely with the local community, and that's come around within 20 years. It's always 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, 3 steps forward, 1 step back, moving forward very slowly because you're trying to gain the knowledge and skills as you go with very little infrastructure.
We are at New Lubbersthorpe Primary in Leicestershire, where the head teacher, Natty, and I have regular meetings and talk about Food for Life. Across the Food for Life programme, a school will help children understand the value of where food comes from. I love what I do, and I think it comes back to my own experience of food growing up. My cousins and I would be really excited about going out to play in the summer holidays, and then we'd come downstairs and see my nan getting the dough ready to make poppadoms, and that we just knew that was it. The whole day would be making poppadoms, and we'd all be a bit begrudgingly, rolling out the dough and taking it outside to dry. But actually, harking back to those memories now, those were the best poppadoms. You just can't buy them in the shops. My colleagues, we either grow or we cook, and we love it. And it's that passion around food that we want to accelerate and bring more people in and more dishes in and more variety, and just celebrate that, because that's the voice that we need to hear. We have a food system that is very much geared at a high consumer level, looking at supermarkets being the main food outlets, a disconnect with food. But actually there's a lot of heritage and culture and pleasure that comes from growing your own and knowing where it comes from, and pride and value. And it's the people that are championing that practice that deserve to have a voice.
To create better conditions for more people to get onto the land, especially from diverse backgrounds, we need to encourage it. And that comes in the form of access to land. We need to make sure that some of the concentration of land ownership is broken up so that land holdings can be spread wider, and you get more people on the land producing food in small-scale enterprises and cottage industries. Give them fair conditions, whether that's tenancy agreements or fair wages for working on the land. We need to make sure that farming full stop provides a viable livelihood, because nobody can enter the sector if it's a sector that's not making money.
At which we're really driving to, in our recruitment, to employ more diverse individuals, and whether that be race, socioeconomic group, education background, or even disabilities. But already we've seen the changes that those people coming on board have made. It's making our content more interesting. We've broadened the kind of campaigns that we're working on. And actually it benefits everyone.
I know I had no role models in early days, and I know now from just sharing what I do on social media, so many people are like, well, you helped me kind of start my course in this space, and you inspired me in this way. Sometimes I struggle to say no to things because I always see it beyond myself. I want to show that you can thrive in such a field, despite you wearing a headscarf or, coming from a diverse background, or, not having an amazing education in early days. You can still go into such a space and be a trailblazer.
If you want to get involved in food and farming, just do it. It's a really rewarding, powerful career to be in that makes you feel like you're really doing something to, avert the crises we face. And being a part of that gives you joy every day.